Hey guys, guess what? Canes played a better game, but they still lost. Yep, still lost after playing. Well, I thought good first and second period, but again, we'll get to recapping the game, and also again, you're just having me, Sam Wallace. Now, Sam Driscoll will be back for our next episode, and another thing too. Looks like the Canes are definitely their backs are against the wall, obviously being down 0-3. But if we do want to get you guys to have great opportunities to go to your local venues, and if they use SeatGeek, you have a great opportunity to get some good deals because we do have a deal with SeatGeek. If you use promo code Caniac Report, all one word, you get $20 off. If you have any interest in going to a comedy show or a concert, you can definitely use it. Another thing too is we have a link for donations. So if you feel like you want to donate, there is a link to that in both our YouTube descriptions and wherever you get your podcasts. And please remember also, please hit like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. And please hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. And also, if you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, I think we have some people listening to us on iHeartRadio. That's pretty cool. Then please leave a rating and a review. And I believe Amazon. I think we have two people listening to us on Amazon Podcasts. So that's awesome. I just want to say thank you guys, obviously, for listening to us, especially during these playoffs. I know this playoff series has been a little bit rough, but we just want to thank you so much for still listening to our episodes, even despite the performance of the players for the Hurricanes. Again, we'll get to game 4. And speaking of game 4, so if we do lose that game, I just want to let you guys know if we do lose, which was going to be that Monday night, Memorial Day night, obviously. If they do lose, our episode will not come out the next day. We'll just go back to our usual rhythm. And for those of you who are new that decide to listen to us in this playoffs run for the Hurricanes, our usual schedule are episodes coming out on Mondays and Fridays around 30 to 45 minutes. So if we do lose Monday night, you'll get an episode that Friday, and that's just when we're going to resume our Monday, Friday schedule for the off season. We have tons of episodes coming out for the off season. We still release episodes because I think there's going to be lots to talk about. Games are going to have lots of cap space. It's going to be fun. But another series that I do want to talk about, and this is the only thing I want to talk about that's been happening league wide, but obviously the Western Conference Finals, Dallas versus Edmonton. That's a little bit more probably even an exciting series because of how the way this series has gone. But Edmonton won the last game 3-0. Stuart Skinner was playing very, very good for Edmonton. And I do think that if Edmonton wins that series, then their goaltending is going to have to be very, very good. And obviously, in that game, they had Stuart Skinner get a shutout. So good for Edmonton. To be honest, at this point, I mean, Florida already won the Stanley Cup. So as much as I might not like Rantanen or let's say McDavid or Draisaitl, I know those are favorite players, but it's just I hear Draisaitl and McDavid's name a lot, so it's not like they're my favorites, even though they're probably the best players in the league. I'm probably gonna go for both of them against Florida, just because I'm like I want a different team to win. But we'll see how that series goes. Obviously, Dallas took the first game and they won that. Edmonton was able to get home ice advantage. So we'll see how they do it with their two home games coming up against Dallas. So we'll see how that series goes. But now I'm going to talk about the Hurricanes because a lot happened heading into game 3, and a lot has happened in game 3, mainly in the third period. But Obviously, the stuff heading in to game three. Walker and Chatfield were game time decisions. And from what I'm hearing about Chatfield, it seems like he really does want to play. It's just obviously the medical report of Chatfield shows that he probably shouldn't play because of his injury, which does lead me to wonder of how severe his injury is. Again, it's probably not as severe as him not being able to skate at all because we have seen him skating, but it I mean, this injury that he's been out for quite some time. And I love Chatfield. I think he's probably the fastest defenseman that we have, and he's a really good defensive defenseman. I think we've missed him, but I mean, it'd be awesome to see him in game four. I don't know if we are, but I mean, it'd be awesome. Another player that was in question, and I'll say probably two more players probably in question because they both a little bit got banged up in the last game. Seth Jarvis, who we did see on the ice for game three, and Sean Walker. Sean Walker was also a game time decision for those of you who don't know, and and eventually he did not play. So we had two rookie defensemen, and honestly, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's definitely going to be very, very difficult to win this game. Even though I thought the Hurricanes actually played pretty good in the first two periods. Another thing too with Florida, now Florida had an injury too because they had Sam Reinhart out. But obviously with Florida, with how they have been playing, it doesn't matter who's injured. This team, they have incredible depth. They really do. This is a very well run organization. Bill Zito's their general manager. He obviously controls the trades, the signings of these players, and they have a great coach and Paul Maurice, who's a former Hurricane coach. I mean, I do want to congrats to Paul Maurice. I think he is an excellent coach. He really did help this team out quite a bit. Um, I would say just because he was able to get this team to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, they got swept in 2009 against Pittsburgh, but obviously, I think Paul Maurice was pretty good coach, and I believe he was also the coach of the Hurricanes getting in 2002 against Detroit in the Stanley Cup final. So he's a really good coach. I think Paul Maurice is one of the best coaches in the NHL, if not the best, especially with how he has been coaching the Panthers. So we have all those injuries, and we had a couple of adjustments too heading into game three. Anderson was out. Tkachuk was put in. I actually think that was the right call because when you're down 2-0 in the series, you kind of need a spark. And obviously, I think Brendan Moore, by doing that, tried to get a spark out of this team by being like, you know what, we're going to put Tkachuk in. I said this the last episode. I don't think Anderson's been bad, but he has not been playing like he has been in the last two rounds. Again, I said this more in detail if you want to listen to the last episode as I recapped the game number 2, but those are my feelings on how Anderson has been playing. And Kachekov starts game 3. Again, I'll recap that game and tell you guys how I think he's been doing. And another adjustment too, KK was in the lineup and Grozovic was sitting out. So honestly, I mean, when you're down 2-0 in this series, I mean, you're probably not going to win the series. You're probably not. And I wasn't expecting us to win the series at all. I thought game 2 was the best chance for us to actually maybe tighten the series. And then going into game 3, my expectation was, can we at least win a game? Apparently, I'm asking too much. But Yeah, those were the roster moves heading into game three. And another thing, too, is that we did see the lines being jumbled up. Again, I'm not surprised Brendan Moore doing this. Really not. I probably would do the same thing just because nothing has really been going. You had Stankoven playing with Stahl and Martinuk. I thought that was easily the best line out there. You had, again, I'm trying to remember all the lines here, Hall, Aho, and Jarvis together. And then I think you had Svetch, KK, was it Blake maybe? I I got the first two lines right. I just can't remember the last two lines right off my head, but it was all in jumbled up mode. Not really surprised there. So now I'm going to recap game three. But before we do, let's go ahead and get to a sponsor. The NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high skates drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right. Game number three. I actually thought, again, Carolina, I thought played a very, very good first period. They really did. And I thought they played a very good second period. In the first period, I mean, you have Mikkola scoring. And to me, that's a goal. That was just a bad luck type of goal because obviously Mikkola was trying to get a pass to the other Florida Panther player, and it just goes off of Orlov skating in. So that's just a bad luck goal. And I would say this about Orlov. I did not think he had a good game. I thought he was hurting, actually, hurting the team in this game. And he's not the only one, but he was one of those players. I do think there's a difference for those wondering. I really do think there is a huge difference of hurting your team and just being a passenger. So, and what I mean by being a passenger is just not making an impact at all. Yeah, you're not hurting the team, but you're also not helping the team either. So obviously, Florida scores 1-0. And then in the second period, Hurricanes are on the power play. And what's interestingly enough, Carolina won special teams. They did. They were really good on the penalty kill, and they got 2 power play goals. So, I mean, special teams, very, very good. And you can tell this was a bit of a different team. They're like, okay, we're getting going somewhat. And you had Stankoven scoring in the second from Burns and KK. And honestly, of all the players that probably could have done better, Stankoven, who technically is a rookie, because Brennmore said, hey, our rookies are playing great, but our top players aren't after the game. Stankoven, he was able to find the loose puck after a blast from Burns, and he just puts it over Bobrovsky's pad. And that's a key thing when you are shooting at Bobrovsky. You got to elevate that puck, and Stankoven did. Stankoven did a lot of other good things, I thought. And to be honest, I think if we had won this game, St. Govan would probably be my first star. And another thing too, I mean, Florida had chances as well in the first and second period. They had quite a bit. I would say they probably had as much, probably, as Carolina did, which is interesting because I think you could tell in this game things were probably a little bit more open on the ice. But I mean, Kachekov, he made some very good saves in the first and second period, which I was like, okay, good. If Carolina wins this game, then you cut Florida's lead in half, and I'd probably start Kachekov the next game. But obviously, we lost, and in that third period, yeah, Kachekov didn't really play that good. I would say the Boquist goal, you probably I would say need to have there maybe. Yeah, that was the goal that went 5-0. I think Kochekov, and I would say this about any goalie too. If there's a putt that comes in 5-0, that's not a tip. You need to save it, and that Kochekov just made that a little bit too easy. I thought, and I mean, it was 2-1 Florida. I kind of had the feeling Florida was going to score after that just because, I mean, just the way Florida plays, you can tell. I mean, for the Hurricanes, it's just a bad matchup for the Hurricanes. And I will say probably my thoughts on coaching stuff and all that stuff after the third period. Well, maybe during the third period. I'll probably say it once I stumble across it with the goals here. But you have Miko Nikola scoring the next goal. And this is a goal. I would say that's a goal that Kochetkov probably needs to have as well. I mean, you had Florida coming in on a rush. I mean, I'm telling you, Florida in transition is a very, very deadly team. Carolina, take notes. But I mean, it was a 3-on-2, and after a couple passes from Bennett and Tkachuk, yeah, Mikula scoring on the glove side of Kachekov. Again, I think that's the goal that Kachekov probably needs to have. But again, that was also, I mean, the pair that was out there was, I believe it was the Orlov pair that was out there. Yeah, it was the Orlov pair, and Orlov just. I mean, I understand it's a 3-on-2. You have to have some awareness of the guy in the middle, but man, I mean, you gotta do something with that shot. You can't just let that shot go through on Kochekov, especially when they're coming in with speed. So it's one of those things where I think Kochetkov deserves some blame there. Orlov deserves some blame there as well. Again, Orlov, I thought, had a disastrous night. And then, obviously, I mean, this all happened. That Mikula goal started with 5 goals in a matter of 5 minutes for Florida. Like when it was tied 1-1, I actually thought, like, okay, maybe the Hurricanes can build on this heading into the third, or maybe like because at this point I'm just like, I just want them to win a game, just so that that media narrative that's out there can be broken of Carolina constantly getting swept in the Eastern Conference Finals, but it might not. It really might not. And then you have Barkov scoring his 2 goals. And man, it's just like, good gosh, it's a full on meltdown that the Canes are having here in the third period. And I would say what's really frustrating is, yeah, it's a full on meltdown, but you have this. I mean, the Aho line is invisible. I didn't even notice the Aho line that much in this game. I didn't even notice Fetch a lot. Now, obviously, you had Jarvis scoring, but at that point, the game was pretty much meaningless. It really was. But man, I mean, Aho when I do see him with the puck, he doesn't even shoot in the series. He just passes every single time. And I would say probably the most evident one was, I believe, Martinuk was on the other side of him in this series. I think it was a kind of a 2-on-1, but he passes is it instead of shooting it. But regardless, even if it was or not, he keeps passing. He doesn't shoot the puck. He just doesn't. So it's just really frustrating with Aho's performance. And I've seen some media people out there saying, well, Aho probably could be traded. Listen, this team needs all the offense it can get right now. They aren't going to trade Aho unless it's a player like Matthews, McKinnon, or one of David or Draisaitl coming back. You don't trade Aho. I don't, unless those players are coming back in return, you don't trade them. And no team is going to trade those players for Sebastian Aho. They're just not. So I don't get this idea of trading Sebastian Aho when I think that kind of is going to make your team worse. So, I mean, I've been surprised before. Does he? I mean, he could get traded, but I think it is almost a 0% chance Aho gets traded. But man, yeah, those two Barkov goals just really just deflated Carolina. And it was also in the third period too, where I mean you kind of see Florida taking liberties and just being goons. And this is one thing I'm gonna go off on a tangent on. To me, the most evident one was you have your best player in Aho getting beaten on the ice by Tkachuk. And Tkachuk, I can tell you, he is a great player, but man, he can also be really dirty. And I can tell you this, we do not have any player on our team that is like Tkachuk, obviously, but we don't have any player even close to Tkachuk on our team. And even though we lost this game, what's really alarming is we didn't have anybody standing up for Aho. I remember, I believe it was Biz in the after game talking about the Aho fight. I completely agree with him. You need someone to stand up for Aho. And when Tkachuk was going to the penalty box after that, you can tell he pointed at Aho and he pointed at his head. I remember that. And you know what? He's right. Because Tkachuk, and I would say probably Ben and most of these players on Florida are in Aho and Svechnikov's and Jarvis's head. Because I think, listen, Aho, Jarvis, and Svech, I think they're very good players. Really, really are great players. But when you see them on this team against a team like Florida, you can tell it is a mental game for them because they can not fathom to let go of probably what's been happening in this series and what happened in the last series against Florida. And as top players, they need to let that go. They absolutely need to because they are not playing their game. And I agree with what Brendan Moore said. Our top players need to respond. And he also praised Jordan Stahl and Jordan Marnock, which I would agree. Listen, I thought that line was the best line out there. Specifically, I would say Stankoven was the best player in the game. But if I was in that room with Brendan Moore, I would probably ask the question, then why is it that this system is so suited for Martinook and Stahl to where they get praised after every game? That'd be my question to Brendan Moore. Again, I'm not saying that Brendan Moore should get fired, but I think there should at least be some questions toward the head coach. I really do. I know I have seen so many Canes fans on Canes Twitter saying that he should get fired. I do not think he should get fired. I still think he's one of the best coaches. Heck, for what he has done to this team, I think there should be a statue made for Rod Brindamore. But I think it is also okay as a fan to look at what this Canes team has done and question Brindamore. I think it is completely fine to question that because there are some choices that he has made that has bewildered me and probably a lot of Hurricane fans here. So obviously, Brindamore is going to be back. I think he does need to deserve to be back. I mean, obviously, I think overall, this season to me has been a success because in the past offseason, we lost lots of players, lots of good players. And yet we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Even you can even throw in the whole Rantanen drama. And Canes came out pretty good after they traded Rantanen to Dallas. So I would say overall this season is a success, but don't think that there shouldn't be any improvements either. I think there I think if there is a fair Canes fan out there, and I think there are, I think a fair Canes fan will ask questions about the roster and the system. Seriously, those are the two things. And I think everybody will probably I would say mostly everybody will understand the whole roster question just because I mean, listen, I mean the Rats didn't trade to Dallas. Well, I think maybe we could have gotten more out of that trade. You can tell that was a trade for the future. Because Stankoven, he is a very young guy. He is a rookie, and I believe the sky is the limit for the guy. But he's not at a Ranston level yet. And I mean, obviously, getting back to the game, I mean, you have more than just the Aho Tkachuk drama there with the fights. You had Svetch going at it with Bennett. You had Mikula trying to take a run at Stahl. Funny enough, he got hurt in that. I mean, I hate players getting hurt. I do. But when you try to take a run at Stahl and you get hurt, I will laugh a little bit like that. I will. And honestly, I mean, Stahl's a big dude. He's not going to get knocked down easily. And Mikula had to go to the dressing room. So we'll see what the status is for Nico Mikula. But regardless, Florida, I think, is probably going to win game 4. It's probably going to be a sweep. I hate that it's a sweep. Probably going to be a sweep. But you never know. Hurricanes might win. But I do think Florida wins just because clearly they're a better team. And that's another reason why Florida's been very, very good in this series. Whereas at least has been winning the series. You look at the Florida team on paper, they're leaps and bounds better than they were 2 years ago. I think Carolina's roster was better 2 years than 2 years ago. But Florida, I mean, you can tell the style of play is just 2 levels higher than the Hurricanes' level of play. They're just that good. So, also, I mean, a couple of players I know I mentioned Svechnikov in that fight. I didn't think Svechnikov had a good game. I thought he was kind of playing a little bit like the last game, even though they didn't directly lead to goals. But he still turned the puck over. You had Taylor Hall turning the puck over. But I mean, getting back to the goals, I think the first Borkov goal, if I had to blame someone there, I mean, obviously Orlov turned the puck over there. So with that first Barkov goal, that's on Orlov. The second Barkov goal, I mean, you had Ghost trying to juke away from the Florida Panther right behind Tkachuk, and then you had Morrow getting the puck from a pass from Ghost, and Morrow, he turns the puck over. And I do think that was some bad luck on that goal because you did had a Hurricane player tipping the goal basically into the net. So I don't really blame. I really would not blame Kachekov on that goal. But the first Barkov goal, I mean, Kachekov could have saved it. Probably. Was it a bad goal? No. And I would say the Marchand goal, I wouldn't blame Kachekov on that goal, but that's a goal where Morrow was caught cheating. I mean, you have Morrow and Ghost as a pair. Yikes. that, that pair kind of showed why that pair probably shouldn't be played in the playoffs. But I mean, there's nothing Brandon Moore can do, obviously, because of the injuries. But yeah, you have Morrow cheating and a 2-on-1 chance. Marchand scores. And yeah, it's game over for Carolina. Obviously, Carolina, again, I love the Jarvis goal. Really did. By that point, the game was pretty much meaningless. And you have Florida winning the game 6-2. We'll see how game 4 goes. I hope Carolina wins. I really, really do. But I just don't think they are. As much as I want Carolina to win game 4, like I have said for games 1 through 3, I would love for Carolina to win. But the way how Florida plays, Carolina is just outmatched. They just are. So, I mean, credit to Florida. Listen, they're a very good team. Really, really are. The only thing I'll probably have to say about Florida, obviously they institute a lot of physicality in their game, which I think is another question for Carolina's system. Probably need to play again, I don't think physicality was an issue with Carolina in the series, but you can tell with how they play, it's kind of out of their norm to play. Like in order to get physical, they kind of have to like get out of the way they play. That's my observation from these games that I've seen of Carolina versus Florida. But I mean, let me know your thoughts on why you think Carolina is getting just bulldozed by Florida. I mean, obviously Florida is really good, but I mean, give me your in-depth thoughts. I really would love to hear them. I love talking about the Hurricanes. I love talking about hockey in general. So we'll see how Carolina does in game 4. And we will see you guys, obviously, after game number 4.